Them a wonder how blessed radio do this. I see them come with some go. Future prophet tell them we locks get longer. He dead heart it and it. Blessed radio, you don't know. Pop the good music.
This is the last. Greetings to ones and ones.
Yep.
Welcome to the Jam Master Show. Greetings to ones and ones, Jam Master Show. Are we coming across? Anyway, give us some feedback. Make sure we're live and direct. Rumors have it that Jamus is riding in a limousine. He's trying to rush his way over here.
Turn now, on. This one. Yeah.
So what's happening now that we get to press on and two jammers. Alright. So inside the house we have a full house, you know. We have Buzzy B inside the house, and we're gonna do a review, a critique of his surprise birthday party, and we had to roll out the red carpet, but we never had the carpet to roll it out for him this evening. There's something red here, but when you come out to you can roll up on the red carpet. We have Ched, it is Ched, yeah? Ched inside the house, and him have a specific topic. He'll be reasoning with us, and also we have the great man Professor Lyndon inside the house as well. Yeah, so again, welcome to the Blessed Radio. So, Buzzy,
yeah,
right? You're the man at the moment, right about now.
Yes.
You know? Also, want big up to Raggedy for a fantastic show. I know, so when Raggedy see me now, he was a show off himself, you know. Like him, but him don't know, so I've been around a long time, you know, Ragga. long time. I know your family too, you know, Ragga, you know.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah? All right then. So you know, sir, I've been around a long time. You know, so Ragga was a show off himself, saying, so this, and that. You know? Anyway, you have one up on me, Ragga, because you do have music. But the bad moment, you know, has to be Buzzy B. And Buzzy B, you come like the coming of Christ when I see you on Saturday. You know? So Buzzy B, how are you feeling from?
Well, from Saturday, I'm still I'm still on this high, whether you want to call it a spiritual high or community high, but I'm still on that high. You know, that positive energy that was projected towards me, and also the essence in the way that the community came out and celebrated me in a sense, if you want to put it like that. You know, I was quite moved by that. I mean, people, you know, of course it was surprising to me, but when I look at it wider, I realized that it was perhaps much deeper than that. I saw it as much deeper than just the word birthday escaped me altogether. I must see it as the community honoring someone or paying respect to someone who has worked tirelessly in the community, and it is time for us to pay our dues to him. So it kind of transcended, for me anyway, the way the proceedings went. To me it transcends birthday. The word birthday just went out the head altogether. I no longer saw it as that from the get-go, from they were singing the African chant, then the word birthday went out of thing for the balance of the evening.
Okay then. Brother Lyndon, Lyndon, you was there. How did you experience the old vibration yourself, my brother?
Well, for me, it's been a long time.
Sorry, you have some new technical issues here. Okay, then, while we're showing that out. Sorry, just come to share. Sorry. Yeah, no, yeah. Beg your pardon, my brother. So, yes.
Greetings to the massive and the ancestors. Hotep to everyone. Yes, my brother, you was asking about my experience at the celebration for our dear brethren, Buzzy B. Well, you know, first of all, I'm honored to have been invited. That's the first thing I can say. And then when I came along and I saw for the likes of yourself and all the other people were there, it was just like family had met. Do you understand? So I felt immediately relaxed. I felt welcomed. My empress, she said to me, wow, you know, how you know so much people? But then she laughed and said, but I should know. You know, but she also felt comfortable.
That's good.
And it was really like just entering a family situation.
But we don't say you could dance too, man. We see you.
You think me have two left feet?
No, we see you. Some carnation dancing, man. We see, wait, what is man they wrote about this? Some steppers, man, and some calculation move. We say, wait.
But we come from Trenchtown, you know.
See.
Long before Bob did come in.
Yeah.
And it's just a born and grew up. So I'm a barefoot cane sash dancer.
All right.
So I just step as a step.
Yeah.
If the cane, if the skin of the cane catch your foot, it cut it.
Cut it, right.
Yeah. So you have to pass some.
No, it's amazing. And I think what's interesting about the because you have some was it Diane's daughter? What's the daughter name again? Diane's daughter there. And we had Leo's daughter as well, and some young people there.
Yeah.
And they just dance.
Oh yes, Real Diamond's daughter as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just dancing. You know
She
what I mean?
never stopped dancing.
What?
The young one never
Never
stopped
saw it.
dancing.
And I said to her, you know the music first. She's laughing because listen man, my dad's a sound boy, you know what I mean? He plays that music, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just amazing. And it really was a family occasion because you had
To me, I felt it very much.
You had the young,
family oriented.
older heads.
Yeah, different.
And everybody just mingling and just dance up and a shake up and etc.
Yeah, sister Trisha, she was right in the middle of it, isn't it?
Oh, again, she can dance. She can. She know for do her thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think there's anybody there, my brother, that wasn't dancing.
Yeah.
I can't see anybody who was there who wasn't dancing.
Wasn't dancing and
having
stuff.
fun and feeling good about themselves.
Right.
It was a really lovely thing to be at, to be invited to and to be at. Yourself, I see you do some scan to you.
Yeah, man, I'm not trying to, but you know, when we see man like you, I thought you were that man, a bit more seasoned than me. But I try a little thing, man.
It was beautiful.
No.
I'm sorry I had to leave, but in the end, what happened is.
But you had a good time,
though.
though.
All of my body was absolutely soaked. Because I sweated.
Yeah.
And I went outside a couple of times to get some fresh air. But of course, I want to make it worse because it gets cold for me.
Yeah.
Then I had to come back in. And then again, music was so sweet, well balanced. You know, different varieties of music, which is beautiful. I think we got to give credit to the sound man.
Oh yeah, give credit to the sound man.
Yeah.
And the sound man was as Digo, DJ Sharks.
Yeah.
You know, we have to pick them up. Also, have some man. We have some mic man, you know, right? We have some mic man. Hold on.
Yes, testing.
Because Jammers, you know, Jammers is official mic man. But some man try to test Jammers by the mic, you know, and I'm gonna get carried away, you know. So they done a job.
You notice I stayed away from the mic.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah.
We used to do everything about.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We had a V-Rocket. The original V-Rocket sound was Youth Man sound.
Yeah, hear about V-Rocket sound.
Yeah, man. That was our sound.
Fantastic. Okay, you want to say?
No. I was just confirming what Lyndon was saying. You know, the energy. I think it was one night that I noticed where nobody was on the phone. Nobody was engaging. I've never been to an event in this time where people are not preoccupied with their phone. Because from the beginning of the surprise, from the African chant onwards, I think that set the energy and the tone for the rest of the night, and everybody seems to be captivated by that positive energy, and it sustained them until the end. And I didn't see anybody on a mobile phone for once.
No, that's true. That is a very.
I said, how amazing was that?
Yeah.
You know, and even where Diamond brought it to my attention, but I also observed that. I said, but there's nobody.
But remember,
mobile.
we had to ask some of the people them to silent. God, there were conversations. So many.
There were so many conversations. Many times we have to ask. But I like what you said in terms of the young people, Dougie, just dancing to all the music from the get-go. Dan's daughter, Chanel's. They just dance to everything.
But you have to give the parents a lot of
credit for that.
Congratulations,
For that,
because
yeah.
they're into the melanated mentality.
Music and the rhythm.
The mentality, that is a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. But pick up to the DJ shots. All the DJs they did a fantastic job. Diego, Imani, Jammers, of course. The Julie in the studio. It was a fantastic night.
Fantastic.
But don't try it again.
Did you see that look on his face? You should have had me and Shen there to come and check you out, because I thought he was going to faint.
No. I would. I don't think you realize how many seconds I was away from collapsing, because the reason why I couldn't move, because that's why I didn't move, because if I had moved, I was trying to, because having all that energy being directed towards you. Like if one person congratulates you and tell you something, then you know how you feel when it's coming from one person. Imagine that 10 times over. So my body couldn't actually absorb it. So I was about to, because I was gulping really hard because June says to me that she saw me gulping. That's what I was trying to do. At one point I wanted to scream. There were so many things.
Nobody never stopped.
There were so many things.
We stopped him from screaming.
Yeah, but you see, you know what's interesting? The sister who sang, June,
yes. Yeah.
She moved me.
She is terrific. I told her. I actually got a word with her after.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and I said, ask her if she wanted to be recorded.
Yeah.
If she ever done any recording. She said no.
It's a beautiful voice.
Oh.
You never know she could sing like that, innit?
I think she could sing. She said she did some karaoke.
Yeah, she's a little bit karaoke once in a while, yeah.
I never seen her, but she was
beyond karaoke.
Yeah, man.
She's a
professional.
Yeah.
And she put everything into it.
And the energy and
because I tell you, man, I must admit, man, when I heard she singing to you, because listen, man, my eye burst off sick for water. Because seriously, everybody,
including myself.
Yeah. She touched me, man. She touched me.
But it was. But what summarized it for me though, was that I think there's something that we need to do even more often. Just recognizing, and think it's something that I've always done. I know Lyndon, he won the 100% Spark Show accolades of the year, and I did that because I recognize that we wait for accolades from everybody else and from other people. But it's good to recognize, even the 10th anniversary, we recognize like Andrew Reid, all Anne Scott. We give awards to those people, who dawn. All those people, we have to appreciate our own.
Yeah, it's a good way to be, because that's what family does.
Yeah, but absolutely.
It's as simple as that. We're one big family.
Yeah, but
we're networking.
That's what
very well.
When I was in there on Saturday night, that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Was a family.
Every single one, and that gave me much more elation than anything else. That this is my family.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
This is my family. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, then we have a
special
guest.
Special guest.
Check. No, well, Chet.
Yes. Yeah. How you doing?
Chet. Let people know the subject you're gonna discuss today.
Yes. First, I'd like to say Hotep, Namaste, and greetings, love to all the beautiful souls out there. So today's topic today's topic of discussion is based on psychology. and the impact that psychology has had on our people historically, on the present, and also how it will pan out on our future. So basically, has Western psychology helped towards the healing of our people, basically? And obviously we know what the answer will be, but it's about breaking it down, basically. So yeah.
Okay then. So, Adam, we have Jam Master inside the house.
Respect people. Respect. I'm sorry, I'm still recovering from Buzzy B's party, so I've been sleeping and still recovering. Boy, that was a joyous occasion. We might as well finish the year now, because I don't know what can top that.
Hold on. Before that, Critters made a appearance at the party.
Yeah, Chris made an appearance, but
he was drunk though, isn't he?
Well, he left because the brandy said there's not enough brandy for him, so.
Yeah. But hold on, I'm bored with Chris, because he did dance for a woman, right? right. As I turned my back, he does a woman who I thought to dance with, right? And I whisper in her ears, Mr. Chris, be yourself, no Chris, man. Chris said, listen, man, you know who he is?
Tops and everything.
Yeah. So we look funny, right? Even to me, I was going to gave a brandy,
Well, I can't vouch for Chris.
Yeah, so we gave a brandy,
I can't vouch for Chris.
I feel weird, so I said, when I see you, I want to tell Chris to be himself, right?
Well, he's on his way, so you can tell him yourself.
All right,
but I think he was trying to chat, man's not out to them youth there, and they cuss him and he ran off. But Buzzy be wicked, that party is something else, man. And the chanting as well. The chanting.
But it's you who brought us.
Your energy,
You, my brother. I say you, sorry, brother, you really deserve that.
Yeah, I said always miss was a crown to put on his head, because that kind of ceremony, I've never seen it before.
Well, they bring it to now, but critics say it's too big for the
Respect. Right, I think we got a show to right now. I just forgot, so back over to Shed.
Yes.
Shed. So Shed, I wonder if you just talk a little bit about the subject and why do you want to bring the subject to the forefront?
Yeah, I mean, I think this will be mainly like an introduction to like a 3-part process, and basically today will be more of like to open it up to basically the actual subject area. But the reason why is because I remember back in '97 I did my first counselling course basically, and then I went on to do the degree in counselling, and then I did my master's degree in counselling 2007. So that took me.
So you done a master's in 2007?
Yeah.
In the same thing of
well, the actual master's degree was based on research, so it was a research into counselling and psychotherapy. So it's more research level basically. So when you get to a level of when you get to the master's level, you get more into the research based, the actual subject based, and that took me to Nigeria actually. Yeah, because I was trying to basically I was answering a question that I came up with. Does Western psychology help in the mental health healing of melanated people basically?
Oh right.
And I did a few focus groups in Manchester, and then I took that focus groups to Nigeria as well.
Okay then.
So also linking the actual thesis that I did was it was like a research project looking at Western psychology from an African-centered worldview. So it's like an African-centered critique of Western psychology and practices and theories and all so.
Okay then. So you see, do research, right? Do a bit of research. So you base the research of. Remember earlier when I do chat. Naim Akbar.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few people that I did my research. I mean, I tried to look at back then anyway. I tried to look at finding UK based researchers, melanated researchers, and to be honest, it was quite scarce. Basically, there wasn't that much basically. So that then took me to mostly the American.
There's a sister. I had to come on my name straight away. Sorry to cut it like that. Is it Joy? Oh God, she's done the seeds on the traumatic some slavery or whatever.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yeah, what's her name? Joy Gary, something like that.
Joy Gary. Okay,
she's
okay.
She's
from the UK, right?
No, just from the States.
The States. Okay,
she done a lot of work in that.
Yeah, she did a lot of work in post-traumatic slave syndrome.
That's it.
I'm saying, and because even in my dissertation that I did in the masters, I actually touched on that as well. How how our effects through history, through the period of our kidnap basically from our motherland basically, and I'm saying, and then being forced into a foreign environment amongst foreign people basically, I'm saying, a environment that was dialectically opposite to our environment, and how that creates contradictions in our minds, in our lifestyles, which then also create mental health issues.
Okay then. So, alright then, because we got Buzzy B and we've got Lyndon inside the house there. And what I want to do is, I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to open it up, right? What is it you're looking to achieve from this? I mean, what were your main you look to achieve, or what's the outcome?
Because basically the main purpose of me doing this research back then, and it's ongoing, I mean, psychology has always played a key part in my life basically to further understand our mindsets and our behaviors as well, as a people, not just ours but also the behaviors of others as well in context to our behavior too, you know what I'm saying? So ultimately what my research my research findings was that it doesn't, Western psychology does not help. In fact, it helps to destroy it.
Okay.
It helps to destroy our mind, helps to destroy us even further. Even broke down the whole concept of psychotherapy. I mean, psychotherapist, psycho the rapist, you know what I'm saying? So, in the sense of this is what they've been doing from a very long time, and even showing you the journey of psychology from the physicians to the psychiatrists, and then psychiatry to then psychoanalysis, then psychoanalysis to psychologists, and psychologists to psychotherapists, and then to counsellors. There's a journey going there, basically, what I'm saying, and that has a timeline as well, basically.
Okay then. Well, I'm going to open up the reason and get Professor Lyndon's thoughts and Buzzy B, and just get a little reason.
I mean, to just answer your point, the main point of it at the end was to basically to show that there is a need of melanated people to engage into research, because a lot of our people, when they go through the education system, most of us, we reach the level of maybe a degree, master's degree, but most of us don't even venture further than them. You know what I'm saying? And when you go into now masters and PhD, you start then seeing that there are gatekeepers to this education or circle of academia, and they will put barriers in front of you. I mean, when I did my master's degree, they tried to fail me based upon the information I was dropping. You know what I'm saying? But I had to give them a word to then make them realise that I'm not a punk, basically, you know what I'm saying? And then they basically, I went back on it, and it ended up that they changed my supervisor. The supervisor ended up being the head of the department.
Yeah.
Who supervised me and ended up asking me to do more.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that, with every dissertation, with every thesis, there's always a certain amount of words you have to reach. I think it was 20,000 words. I ended up doing 30,000 words.
Right.
No, 20,000. But he got me to do 30,000.
It's normally
to 20,000 because of the information that I was dropping, basically. And then I didn't, not just scared, but also he wanted more.
You wanted more.
Because he was writing his own book as well.
Right.
So then so exactly. So then I peeped that. So what I did is I gave him the diluted version of it, and then kept my original version.
Yeah, because I can agree with you in terms of someone who's also been in academia myself at a high level, and you have to be careful not to be drawn. And I think you did a smart thing by holding back, because trust me, they're not necessarily threatened by anyone who bring new information, because that's the way the system sustains itself. Because you see the way that when you are, if you come with a theory,
that's right,
you always have to, support your theory with somebody else's.
Of course.
Why can't your theory stand alone?
Yes.
Because I remember when I was doing my thing, I quoted myself, and the lecturer said, "You can't do that." Because I put my name in and everything, and put it myself, because it's for me. Because I said, well, because I haven't seen it anywhere else. So I said, so I thought that this was meant to generate original thought, or the essence of original thought. What is the point of this if I've got to regurgitate?
That's right.
So that means that there's a limitation in which you're right. The gatekeeper is in the way the system is designed itself, because you cannot go beyond what other people said before,
and also
so it's limited by that.
And who are you expected to regurgitate?
Absolutely. I can't regurgitate everybody, because they absolutely.
That too, but also it's not that, or it's not a matter of a too big a field only. It's also they want you to regurgitate their academic,
because it keeps their
status quo.
It keeps the status quo. It keeps their philosophy.
That's right.
On the what people. It keeps the philosophy of everything they do. Because you got the philosophy of math.
That's right.
The philosophy of learning.
That's right.
The basic philosophy that underpins everything that moves. You can say whatever you want. They do not want the philosophy of those things to move. So if you're challenging that, the premise on which their philosophy stands, then the whole system would collapse. Of course, because they've been fooling the world for quite a long time.
Of course.
That's it. So I just want to. To agree with you
that's an interesting point.
In that sense,
that's a very interesting point you brought there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let me bring Rash Linden into the mix of this.
Yes, I have to concur with what my two master colleagues are saying right here. First of all, let me say this. Everyone who studied understand there's only one way to get distinction, and that is an honors, and that is to repeat like a parrot everything you've learned.
That's right.
And I took that way.
Yeah.
Because I said, well, right, once I've got through, you can't stop me. And I don't want to be a fly in the ointment. You understand? Because it's their educational system. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I know what my views are. I know what programming is all about. I know what indoctrination is all about. And that's all they do. They indoctrinate us. You understand? But I can't go against what both Shen and James have said, because we know what the truth is. You understand? And we have to stand up when we have the power. Let's call it the power to state exactly what's going on. The only thing that I would query though is just like them, the Caucasians saying all black people this, that, and the other. I'm a little bit reticent to do that even to them. You understand? Because as you say, I've got here the Theory and Practice of Counseling Psychology by Richard Nelson Jones. Now, he was referring to Fiedler. He said in 1950, Fiedler published two important articles that raised the issue of whether there is an ideal therapeutic relationship transcending various schools of counseling and psychotherapy. So, what can you do? If you are practicing, some of those things might be helpful to you as too. So, what are we saying? Are we saying somebody like me, who runs a coaching service and utilize all of this plethora of information and skills and tools? I don't have dozens of tools. I don't have hundreds of tools. have literally thousands of tools. And that's what makes my coaching different. Because mine's an integrated service.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, I want to tell you the truth, I use every single one of those tools before I offer it to anybody else.
Of course.
Because I've got to see what it actually does, if anything. Because some of them are like placebos, right? Some of them are placebo effects. They don't do anything. I said, James said, and then Dougie said, as long as you do that, people start to believe you. But it could be a load of rubbish, which I agree with my colleagues. Yeah? Well, I haven't read the Akbars and so forth. So, to be frank, I'm at a disadvantage there. All right? But I promise you, I'll be on those very, very quickly. I've got Jung over there. I won't go back to Jung yet. But this was just to start off. And two things stood out for me in this study. He said that an emphatic relationship, this is one type, okay? Therapist and patient relate well. Therapist sticks closely to the patient's problems. The patient feels free to say what he likes, he or she likes, that should say. An atmosphere of mutual trust and confidence exists. A rapport is excellent. Would you agree that's something really not just positive but meaningful?
Yes, I mean, I will not contest that there are certain schools of thought and certain schools of counselling that are quite useful, but we need to also understand the roots of those as well. And this is why my research took me to those roots, and also to understand that there is a wave of consciousness that is coming, and that was also related to the time of period that we're in. We're going into the cycle of Aquarius anyway, so there's a different energy coming in that is taking us back to our origin anyway, basically. Saying so, but a lot of these theories, even Freud and Carl Jung had theories that were quite towards the end very symbolic, basically. And they took a lot of, when you study Freud as well, he took a lot of his concepts and theories from Greek mythology, from Greco-Roman mythology. But we also know that Greco-Roman mythology comes from ancient Egypt. You know what I'm saying? So even the whole...
But they didn't give it credit.
No, they didn't give it credit, but the foundation is still there. That's why every so often they'll come with certain books and certain information that we can resonate with. But if we don't understand that, hold a second, where does this actually come from? Even the whole concept of eclectic style of counselling, which is basically bringing everything all in one, which is basically holistic. You know what I'm saying? So when we even look at, because I was trying to show also in my studies the links between Freud and Jungian theories going back to ancient Egypt, even look at the whole Oedipus complex, right? The whole Oedipus complex, which has been, sorry to use the word, bastardized by Freud.
Of course.
What's Oedipus complex? What's that? What is that for the uninitiated?
Okay, so the Oedipus theory is a psychoanalytical theory that was brought into popular research and popular use through Freud. Basically is a desire for the sexual involvement with the parent of the opposite sex and basically created a rivalry with the parent of the same sex. So a crucial stage in the normal development process, Sigmund Freud introduced the concept of his interpretation of dreams, which is basically the Oedipus complex. This goes back to the Greek myth of Oedipus, who was basically a man who loved his mother and wanted to basically had a rivalry with his father, and his main aim was to kill his father so he can go and marry his mother. So which really, if you study the origins of that, it goes back to the story of the Sphinx, because here you have this Oedipus traveling, and he comes across the Sphinx. The word Sphinx means to also strangle from that sense, but the Sphinx, which is actually the Heru Em Aket, right? So, which is the Heru of the double horizon, right? So, he travels and he meets the Sphinx, and the Sphinx basically tells a riddle. I'm going to give you a riddle. If you can answer this riddle, I will let you pass. So you can go to your journey, your quest to the city of the sun, Heliopolis, and basically take care of. The riddle was, what walks on all fours in the morning, stands upright at noon, and walks with 3 legs in the sunset? Right? So, you know, the answer, does anybody know the answer in this one?
Yeah,
right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm just following the story. So the answer, the correct answer, I believe that Oedipus gave was man.
Man, yes. Can you explain that?
Crawls on all fours as a child.
Yes.
Is independently mobile as an adult.
That's right.
And in the latter stages of life has to walk with a cane.
Walk with a cane, exactly. And
Brilliant, Theo.
but then on a deeper level, that's also the stages of the sun.
Yeah.
So the rising sun, the sun at the zenith, and it falls. So when you look at the Sphinx, it's positioned in a certain position that basically you will see the sun rise from one side and then it shines right at the top and it sets. So the 3 stages of the development.
Dawn, noon, and sunset.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? So exactly. So when we start studying the history of these concepts, we can also see that these were originally our concepts.
Yeah, but look, is there anything they didn't copy?
Exactly.
You have to ask yourself that question. I mean, it's really simple. If, as it said, and we do know that it's to be true, we are the original people, and that all others came out of us, then obviously, it's just the same like martial arts.
Yeah,
they keep saying it's Asian.
No, of course it's not.
But I've got African yoga at
That's
home.
right.
That's what I do.
That's right.
You understand? And when you think about all these things, it had to be from there. Who was more athletic than the Africans?
Of course.
Right? In their dancing, in everything they did, in their walking, and even now, with long distances.
That's right.
They will run 20 miles to school, right? And run it back. It don't come in like nothing to them. But all the others are training to do it. The African doesn't have to train. Can I just say this before we come in? They actually had, when all the Kenyans and all of them were just mashing up the place with the distance, they sent people to Kenya when the people had gone home to spy on them.
To spy on them, yeah.
And they watch and they see that they just had some semolina porridge. Nothing more. Right? And they can't believe it. They're like, aren't you going to have like some steak and that? And so we don't them kind of things. You understand? Yeah? So they're trying to use psychology. Right? And bamboozle these people who, they love semolina bread. It's not like so them just eat it. Them love it. I'm looking forward to it because that's where the energy comes from. So
I mean, see, but then I was going to say that the problem then lies is that like everything that gets taken, it gets processed, it gets diluted, and it gets changed to fit a specific worldview. Like we were saying about the Oedipus complex, boy has rival against father to then end up sleeping with mother. That's a foreign concept to us.
But then,
exactly. But then, what happens with that foundation? They then create theories to deduce behavior, and then not just create theories, but also inculcate behavior based upon those theories as well.
Okay. The question I'm going to ask, I'm going to throw that still. That because obviously, if you look at Western civilization, their whole psychology and what they're about, it's destructive. I mean, evidence proven, right? So the question I'm going to ask now, right? Where do we go from here, or how do we start to impose our philosophy or our concept or way of life on our, And I want to open up as well, but start with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's the great Amos Wilson. Not actually, no.
Because you got Naim Akbar.
There's Amos Wilson. There's Naim Akbar.
And the same woman there
as well. I forgot his name.
You got what is it? Dr. Franz
Wesling.
Yeah.
She's also there as well. And there's another brother, which it's in my notes, but I will say his name later. But he's made a point to say that power is the ability to define your reality and get other people to live your reality as if it's their own.
Well, say that again.
Dr. Wade Nobles.
Wade Nobles. Yes, brother. Dr. Wade Nobles. Yes.
Go through Theo.
True Theo.
Theo, don't give her a stripe.
Yes. So, exactly. So, basically, power is defined by creating a reality and getting other people to live your reality as if it's their own.
In common terms, values and beliefs. So simple as that.
Exactly. And then, so going back to the question is this, styles, all these styles that we see now that people say, saggy pants and big pants and big t-shirts and caps and all that kind of stuff. They're saying that's a black fashion. No, it's not.
No.
That is a destructive fashion that was created out of our people being out of our own minds, and now it has been created into a fashion that other people are following.
Absolutely, 100% concur.
You know what I mean? And now it's become a fashion.
Yeah, totally agree.
So we have to basically, start getting back into our minds. Because we are now outside of our minds.
Okay.
And this is why I say it's not about being out, insane. It's about being outsane. Because we are outsane. To be insane is to be in our own.
Okay. All right. Let me open the reason still. Let me bring in Theo. Come upon us because you like you get a stripe. You get a stripe. We're promoted to where's the highest round? Is it Colonel? Is it Colonel? No, not Colonel yet. You know what I mean?
That would be General, Dougie.
General.
General.
3 stripes already.
Tell them what science state here. We know science.
So we steer. Trust me. In response, I've been listening to all of this. I'm just doing a little bit of catch up. So there's a few. And someone else might be able to tell me because I'm now struggling for the name. But one brother introduced the concept of what we call the intellectual maroon.
Yes.
And the process of an intellectual maroon it breaks down into a number of stages. One of which is reality confrontation, and then another is systematic enemy analysis, and also Sankofa or re-Africanization. There's another couple of bullet points which I can't quite bring to mind at the moment, but these elements here are what needs to be when Brother Lyndon speaks about there having to be a process, there having to be structures, having to be discipline. They can these elements here can fall in within that whole structure there, and various acts, various initiatives we can take should fall into some of these categories where we have to more or less, reality confrontation speaks for itself. You have to look at the situation in an unvarnished manner and tell it like it is, and then break down the concepts and ideas and the factors which play into that whole environment that we're currently existing in. The one thing I was gonna just slightly pull you up on there, Dougie, when you asked the question. I know it's a question of semantics anyway, but the idea of imposing, I would more or less kind of like maybe erase that word out of it and go for more of the idea of instilling. It's more about gravitating back to the core of ourselves, which obviously we've been kind of shifted out of the balance of ourselves, how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to each other, how we even, the idea of what our own consciousness is in any case. So it's a case of instilling or maybe reinstilling, or reminding ourselves of who we already are. Yeah?
Okay. All right then. Buzzy, you want to come in?
Well,
He's still buzzing. He's still buzzing from the other night.
Still haven't. I think Lyndon is on the money. I still haven't overcome the shock of it all. I'm still in all truthfulness, still haven't recovered from that yet. Yeah, just trying to taking the discussion and the conversation and taking it back to the psychology. In the sense as if it really addresses our issues and in terms of our mental or psychological issues, because I think that everything human beings are psychological, and everything we do emanates from that, and our responses, our feeling, everything we do, our worldview, everything is shaped by that. The way people respond to us, the way people see us, the way people view us is our psychology. The way we are is our psychology, because we're different. And I think it's a case of two psychologies clashing. So I've always wondered, like you get African people going to psychiatrists and psychologists. And I was having a conversation with Red Diamond this evening on my way here, and I said, well, in my experience, I'm yet to see an African person who has gone to a European psychiatrist or psychologist and come back saying, as a matter of fact, it's even worse. For me, it's always trepidation. Whoever here, one of ours have got to commit themselves in their hands, because I know it's only death. It's only death of the mind. There's no looking back after that, and then again, everything is because that the system is so pernicious and evil in a way that everything is tied to money. It's not even about healing, because when you go to the doctor, it's not about healing. It's money. It's driven by the economic imperative. So if you think it's about you're going to get healed, you've got the huge pharmaceutical industry there behind the whole medical system. So it just because when we heal because we wanted people to be healed, But this system is not about healing.
Yeah. But boy, you have some reason. I know Ched want to come upon us. You know what I mean? but yeah, no, I'm definitely. But before, I just want to ride on to what Buzzy B said though, with the whole thing about the mental health and the psychology and all that kind of stuff there. And to me, it's a total business, because they make so much money. Because I was looking at a documentary, look at the whole thing about the mental health and the whole industry, and they make trillions of pounds a year, literally trillions. It's a business. It's a business. So I want people to be clear about that. It's a total business. Yes, my brother. Come on in.
Thank you, my brother. Sorry, Chen, if you don't mind if I say, I'm just really concerned with what you said earlier on. When we think about things, as Chen will actually tell you for himself, or any of us in here who's looking at, you see the word psychology or biology and all of the ologies. Ology just simply means the study of. Right? So take that away, you got psych, which is most of the word for psych, most of the letters of psyche. So it's the study of the psyche and how to influence it. That's basically what psychology really is.
Yeah, back in tune, and it's a heavy start to the. We're still recovering from Buzzy B's party, but we're trying to put a show on today. Yeah, the topic you just joined us is: does the Western or so-called psychology or counselling facilities in the healing process of so-called black people or so-called melanated? I think I've read that right. Basically, we're looking at Western psychology and counselling and see if it really facilitates in the healing process of us as a people. If you'd like to join the conversation, the number is 07944 31366. Once again, 07944 31366. And that's what we're going to be doing. Look at the ideology of the behaviour. And another thing I'd like to throw, another grenade I'd like to throw in the room, well, not literally, is how can we get someone to analyse our psychology if they're psychotic? Because how they've treated us, raped, beat us, slavery, that's a psychotic mind. So how can that psychotic mind try to cure us? But anyway, here's what the doctor's got to say, what the cause of that is.
Because you got to ask yourself this question: how do people who deem themselves superior, who see themselves as the civilizers, who recognize themselves as the what we call manifest destiny, the white man's burden of civilizing all the rest of the races, how do you reconcile being the superior being and engaging in barbaric behavior? What that produces is something called cognitive dissonance. How many people are familiar with that? Cognitive dissonance is really thinking discord. It's when you begin to feel conflict between what you believe or understand or hold to be true, and you are then faced with behaviors, either in yourself or others, that conflict with your fundamental belief. It produces cognitive dissonance. Human beings don't function well with cognitive dissonance. You must remove the cognitive dissonance in order to function. So in order for people to perpetuate slavery and to perpetuate that whole system that lasts for centuries, you had to remove all dissonance associated with it. Can't be anything wrong with me. Certainly isn't us. We're the civilizers. We're the superior, so it must be them. Oh, yes. Well, you see, they don't even have souls. Now I can go to sleep because I'm not really dealing with a human being. Are you following me?
Shen, over to you.
Yeah. Well, that was obviously well said, and the sister's on point. That also manifests and brings on, the many different issues that's come out of this post-traumatic stress or slave syndrome, basically, and from this madness, because we're looking at really a three-step process. We're looking at the cause. What was the cause of it? Basically, what was the cause of the situation that we're in today? And then we analysing the problem that the cause has created, the many different behaviours, false identities, false realities that we cleave onto ourselves to think that these are our original organic behaviours. And ultimately, what we need to also start doing is start looking at how do we solve this problem. And these are structures and systems of thought that we need to start engaging on a much deeper level as well, basically.
Okay then. Anybody, Jamus?
We have to design our own construct of what we term is how we should define ourselves, and how we behave, and tell the rest of the world this is how we are. Because every science is not science; it's all opinion. And this opinion, as I said, based on psychosis. Of you treating somebody else like a beast, like an animal. How can that person have a rational decision on the person they're treating like a beast or an animal? And if you look, it's not a science. It's all based on a warped opinion. You were saying something about, was it Freud? What was that about Freud you said in the break?
Yeah, I mean, when you study these so-called great Western psychologists and psychiatrists, and you go into people like Freud, for example, and you look at their early years, which most definitely has created a psychosis in his mind, and has also created the root of most of his theories. You should look at the relationship between him and his mother, basically. I'm saying, and I was reading somewhere that his mother used to abuse him, and there was somewhere I read that she used to also bathe in period blood, basically. So. That kind of created a psychosis in that, and the abuse that he went through as a child, and also a lot of his practice, a lot of his patients were neurotic Jewish women. That a lot of them were neurotic Jewish women who had experienced the, had gone through trauma from the, experiences of torture, experiences of pain, and a lot of them were sexually repressed as well. And there's stories to say that he also engaged in other forms of therapy. Therapist, the rapist, and when you look at even he brought the concept of the couch back, isn't it? When people lie, sometimes he would perform certain sexual favors in return, basically, or they would. Return, basically. So there's a lot of sexual repression in a lot of these psychologists and psychiatrists. Even the way that I think it was Skinner or Watson, how the way he treated his daughter, placing her in a box like a rat for almost a year. I mean, what kind of mindset? And then these are the people that form these theories, and we study those theories and we run off with them.
And that's because we don't really understand the history of these individuals.
And as you said, there's a lot of sexual repressive behaviour in this kind of psychotic mindsets of the people that are here. If you look what they do with the children, look at their practices, their fetishes, and no black man really wants to watch somebody else sleep with their woman, but this is a normality with them. Have cakes thrown at them and all kind of madness, dressing the baby's underwear and,
They don't waste anything, You see, there's the reason why you find so many of the same substances in, we probably all know here in this room, and probably a lot of the listeners also are aware that you will find in drinks, you will find in certain processed food, you will find in hair products the same things you find used for cleaning toilets and used for so-called what they call those things, pesticides, and these kind of things are in foods. These kind of things are in drinks. But going back to, I'm digressing, and back to what you guys were saying. Yeah, it's a collective venture. And as Buzzingby was saying, yeah, it's not just a certain level of the so-called medical industry and that whole complex that they have running there. It's gotten to the point where it's in the education field. You see, it all does cultural work. If we look at it, the politics, as I've stated on previous shows and everything, in a nutshell, decides who gets what. So if you are doing that particular work, which is valuable, then you are allocated a certain level of resource in order to progress that cultural work. That's more or less the very basis of it. And obviously, the teachers in these schools are predominantly Europeans and predominantly European women. So then there is a certain relationship or a certain level of fear. One thing that you might very well be interested in this. It's something called the libidinal economy, and this states that obviously it's an exchange of energies and works on the whole idea of attraction and desire and violence and things like that. So obviously, one of the rough-hewn examples, say your blonde cheerleader is going to attract more desire, and then your 6'5" basketball player is going to attract more fear. They're going to accumulate more fear. Young black men accumulate more fear than anyone else in this, what we call as the society. And then there's going to be a routine and habitual response to that. Particularly if you are a white female teacher and you're only 5'5", and you've also absorbed all of this information about your identity from the year dot, because everything, your entertainment, your nursery rhymes, the way your parents bring you up, how you are socialized, does cultural work. So you are going to continue that identification between yourself and that black male is not necessarily going to be, it's never going to be a mutually beneficial one. Once your identity has been established, and in the language of Marimba Annie, you recognize my son, your son, to be a cultural other. You're not even a subject, you're an object. So you have to be moved and shifted according to the cultural design. By that time, it's immutable in terms of their psychology. It's immutable. It cannot be adjusted. And so that is always going to guarantee certain responses. You see, I mean, it talks about the economics. And obviously, you know, at the higher level of their politics, which decides who gets what, the highest level there, they always have to go through what's a certain higher educational program, which is politics, economics, and what's the other one? Philosophy. Which is interesting because obviously the politics and the economics work hand in hand, and then the philosophy is the advocate for those dimensions of their culture, and they always have to go through that.
I just want to throw something in here because earlier on we mentioned people like Dr. Africa, who I had the pleasure to work with, and remember who I've met and hosted a couple of events with her, and there's quite a few of them out there. But what's my mind now? I don't know if you're aware, Chet, that there should be a black thought, or they come together and have one aim in common, where they come together, and because there should be a blueprint, so to speak, right? I just want to be into the mix because these are great individuals, but they're just individuals, but are they coming collectively? You see what I'm saying? And have a force to throw out there. I just want to be into the mix because I think that's very, very important because the reasoning is just
I am
powerful, and it's just.
I am aware that in the States they do have a black psychologist. Something here as well. Yeah, there's something here as well.
Well, if you could mention that, mention that. Alright, mention it a second. Let the check and then.
So there is already a conglomerate of people like Naim Akbar, Marimba Annie, the Wade Nobles, and Dr. Jane Small as well. So, I remember when I was in Manchester, we used to attend, I was part of some of these organisations that would create events, basically, hold events. There was one particular called Education of the Black Child. Paul Labina, and this was back in the 90s. When we held it at a university, it was Salford University.
In Manchester, yeah?
Manchester, yes. Okay. And it was almost once a year. Bring all those people. So they would come as a team. And there was other people as well. Ivan Van Zetten, Charles Finch. There was other people that came to talk about other stuff, to do with science as well and history. But yes, I met Patricia Newton as well. Malana Karenga as well. He does a lot on the psychology, the black African psychology, especially when it comes to children. So yeah, there's a lot of great people who do have this conglomerate unit, and it's something that it's imperative to bring here as well. I do know there is an organisation for black psychologists and psychotherapists. I received some of these, and I can't remember I received where they're holding certain events as well for that particularly relates to I think it's black and Asian people. So yeah, but for what I want to ultimately bring is a think tank together as a unit to actually to have influence in the research. think research is important because all these books that we read all come from research. They come from these great people.
Yeah, but I'm just going for this. Even though the research, but if you're not doing the research, it's a bit.
No, you have to implement. I mean, I'm always about the I'm always about the implementation, but you have to have a body of people who come together and they can basically dissect and break things down and then implement. You know what I'm saying? So you need to have, and then because there are people who are better at one thing, and there's people who are better at the other thing. You have hunters and farmers. So it's about the hunters and farmers getting together.
I would have been jamming them and then.
I just actually wanted to bounce off Linda, because Linda, you had to implement your practice, in relation to what's going on. So how did you manage that, and what techniques did you find effective?
I've always been a rebel in everything I do. When I was a child, nobody's going to dominate to me how I should do something. And I got cracked on my own path. You understand? Even to the fact of when in my time I was going the philosophy from ruling British governor Sir Hugh Foote was that children should be seen and not heard. But this little mouth was always firing and even win over some of the adults who at first used to try to dumb me down, but when they found they couldn't, and that I had the backing of not just my family but the entire community, because they call me teacher. So you imagine a man runs a business of a bakery. You couldn't fool him with money, and sometimes the women then got attracted to him and tried to steal him, but they couldn't. But he couldn't read and write. He was not what they term as literate. But you could not fool him. And I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot how to be a rebel from him. Right next door. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Believe me, if you know any of my family, they'll tell you, don't try to tell him what to do. Better try and encourage him, right? But don't tell him what to do, because he's going to just go against him. So that's how comes my practice is one-off. I'm about to put it as in a character so that people can know my style of culture. Because I'm telling you, for 32 years now, I haven't had to advertise. Everything is word of mouth. Do you understand? And I have clients in Pakistan. I have clients all over the place. Do you understand? Through my website, obviously. All one's got to do is read extensively, right? Because I just had this in my bag, and I just remember that this man, it's a white man, his name is M. Scott Peck, and he wrote this book called People of the Line. This is just one, okay? And it actually, as a subtitle, it says, The Hope for Healing Human Evil. And just turn the page, just one time, because everything in this book fascinated me. And it says, Towards a Psychology of Evil. How about that? Is that what we're talking about? Exactly. And he gave a little example in here. He has a little son, he's 5 years old. George is 5 years old, suffering from a very specific disease, namely an obsessive compulsive neurosis. And he says, we know a good deal about this disease. In many ways, George's case was typical. For instance, obsessive compulsive neuroses have their origin in early childhood. And that's the bit I really want to impress on. I'll come back to Peck, but I just want to say this. There is something, all these fraternities and sororities are very dangerous. Absolutely dangerous people. Now, everybody sees around the planet a lot of leaders from when we were born to now. And nobody can settle in for too long. There is a system that says only 5 years here, only 4 years in America, and so forth and so on. There was a prime minister in Jamaica, apart from Manley, because Manley was a great guy, okay? But, you know, this brother, yeah, they told him that he said he wanted Jamaica to be a republic. His name was Patterson, P.J. Patterson. And they said to him, America and Britain said to him, well, obviously you guys will soon have fight amongst yourselves, so we're going to give you a hard thing to achieve. And if you achieve it, then Jamaica will be a republic. Now they knew they had no way of wanting us to be a republic, yeah? So what they said is if he won 3 consecutive elections, then he has the power to do it. Well, he did win 3 consecutive. He's the only one to have won out of the white man or the black man at the head of the helm. All they did was soft soap him, as we call it, put some money in his hand and send him off to Sweden. He had no choice. That person happens to be my first cousin. Do you understand? And when I read all of those things that they were doing, I was mad. But I didn't want to propose vote. So let me tell you what's real. And the psychology is that you vote in an election for the leader you want. That's the commonplace thing. But I will put it to a white man named Paul Rearick. Go on YouTube and listen to that one. He says, I don't like Google people. Who are Google people? The people who think they can win anything by a vote. He says vote never wins anything. And what Donald Trump is doing is living Weirick's manifestation. That is what he's doing. So he's copying what Weirick says. And Weirick is an alt-right way before the word was in it. He's so-called white supremacist. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? All of that is psychology, you know. Yeah? Because we tend to be, especially those bring Shannon to be Prime Minister. Shannon will never win Prime Minister. Look at the Labour Party. You remember Paul Boyton? Does anybody remember Paul Boyton? Oh man, that man was awesome. Right? What did they do to Paul Boyton? They make him look like a little boy because they put him in with this writer. What is his name? The writer. Anyway, he got pally with him and they send him off to Africa, right? It is some kind of secretariat or something, and then the next thing you know, you don't hear him because it was just too bright for them. What I'm saying is, these are also examples of the psychology of evil that Pep is talking about. But I'm going back to the bit about youngsters. Because there's a fraternity that determines who goes in and who goes out. And I don't want to say too much about Nelson Mandela right now because I would say it off here, you know, because I respect the man and everything else. But had he kept winning with him, he shut off the would have been run back. You understand? But he did. I remember he soon came out, he came here first to see Margaret Thatcher, to be told what to do. Go back and get rid of his decent wife, who was 20 years younger than him, and fought like, as we all know. When he had TB, yes, it was her that insisted he go to hospital, and that's their Robben Island, and got him his freedom. It was nobody else that got him his freedom. So I'm mad. I'm really mad. Back to the youngsters. There's a group, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, you heard about the Templars and the Scottish Rite, the Illuminati, all of these, the Rothschilds and all this stuff. But none of them got no power. Can anybody else said that? Who's got the power? They're known as the butterfly. I'll bring you proof. Butterfly man says this: bring me a child of 5 years old. By the time we're finished with that child, him or her, they will not only hate their parents and family, they'll hate themselves. Here is where Peck is talking about towards psychology of evil. I won't read this, but I'll just tell you what it said. He said George was not able to remember how he had been toiletry, but from the fact that his father beat a kitten to death for making a mess, one can guess it made clear to George that he had better learn to control his bowels, or else. You don't want a bigger example than that. Alright? This guy is really powerful. I read this book in less than a day. And that's for me doing all different kind of research was. But I couldn't put the book down because of things like the psychology of evil. Now I didn't get a chance at the time because I chose not to. But what Shen was saying, you were saying, but we were also, we have to find a group, common place of what we're doing. But they have to be committed. It doesn't make any sense to get in Tom, Dick, Harry, Josie, and Sue if they're not committed to do the work. I am doing my show, as Jammers knows. I don't know if all of you know, but mine is about making schools in every home. It is a very simple idea, but what are we doing? You don't have to go out there, Dougie was saying at the time, shall we build schools, black schools. Remember that time when we were doing identity? That's a great idea. But I want to see it work. If we do that, we're going to have Ofsted and Stedoff or whomever, right, coming around telling us that we cannot teach our children our stories. So the only way to do it is go direct. Yeah? Here you are, mom or dad, or brother, whomever, family. I give you one, maybe two, at each time of who is in the STEM project. I'm holding a quiz funded by me and my family every month, the end of every month. I want you to get that child, even if you have to tell the child the answer. It's fine, because you're still interpreting exactly what we want. Let them learn real values. Let them learn that we are important. But what we've done is John knows, and he spotted it. He says, oh, you started from now. Remember we had this talk? Yes, you have to do current, because youngsters don't have any affiliation with all what's happened before. And so we have to inculcate them, yes, into this practice. You're going to win something, and they're going to win a beautiful prize that's going to bring them more information about our story and our success. We've never been unsuccessful, even in the most trying times. The psychology tells us that we are not, but we know psychologically that without us, they will be doomed. They don't know that yet. They do not know it yet, but if they really think about it, we're the only survivors here. They're copying us. I have a poem. Damn if I could have brought it with me. It's called Apus Copius. The next time I come in the studio, I'm doing it. And I'm reading it. Because we have to talk about these things. We want people to discuss it at home. We didn't put this on just for fun. We're not having any reputations to be hoisted. We are here as proper researchers, proper developers to get through to our people. If we can do that in every home, look at it. It's very, very easy to do. I concede.
I'd just like to say, I don't know if you realise, you just broke the code of how they copied the laws of us. Habeas corpus is apus copius.
James, can you bring the word psychology to? I mean, how would you break that down to us as a wordsmith?
Well, really, it's the science is really science. They just base everything on what they see. So, and logic. So basically, the tree, they'll cut the tree down until they get to the log. And when the tree's dead, now they know what the tree's about. You see, we can look up and see that's a rock in the sky. they've got to spend billions to go up there to tell us it's a rock. You know. And one thing, but I think one key is that's what we're here is to make people to wake up, because really everybody's in competition, even if we don't think we are in a competition. And it's hidden in the word racism. There's no such thing as racism. That's a non-existent abstract word for you to think about. Ism means to make a verb active. Ism makes the word race active. Look in the dictionary what race means. It means competition. So we've got to wake up that everybody's in competition. It's time for us to now start to raise up and become shareholders in we don't need to compete because we're already first. So we just have to unite, and we'll be there already. So this is what it's all about now. Once you know everybody's competing with us, we've got to stop giving money to their raiders. Trade means to raid. So when you see all of these shops in your high street, stop giving money to them, because they're in competition with you. What are you giving your money to the competition for? You're giving the child to the competition. You know, so they're going to make the child weaker. They train us to be weaker. You know, so this is what we need to do. We need to wake up and start to shake up and just get where we're back on. You know, number one.
By the way, could I just say one more thing? I know it for financial purposes. Mothers have to go out there and work as part of the partnership, whether live together as partners or married or whatever. Yeah, they have to do it because things are so expensive now that the man alone can't bring the bread in, or the woman alone can't bring the bread in. They work. But look what that does. We now have to give our children to a nanny who's a total stranger, and some people are giving to other cultures, which is a big error. But I'm not here to judge it. I'm just saying what is. But if the mothers or the fathers were able to sit down and look after their own children, we wouldn't have some of that stuff that's happening on the street. Right? Most of those youngsters out there doing that, they're not bonded with their parents or their family. They're not bonded. You've got to bond children from baby to 2 years old. That's all it takes. Yes? And from 2 to 6, anything a child learns will go all the way till their death in old age. We carry it. It's the most impressive age. So we have to understand what psychology really is. Psychology is every movement of bullyism. Yes? Because it is a form of bullyism. In fact, it's the purest form of bullyism. To get us to do what they want. And let me say about university. College and university. Don't they give us a reading list? Isn't that how they control us? So like, Session, he's got 9 at bar. They don't want to hear that. Do you understand? They don't want to hear that because that is going against what they're forcing us to do. So they give us a reading list. That is a big, high psychology. But I say to us, let's study what they're doing. It's the only way we're going to be able to defeat the enemy is to know what they're doing. My daddy showed me that the first day I arrived there. After he asked about the family and stuff like that, he said to me, son, have you ever heard the words, the phrase, when you go to Rome, do as the Romans do? Isn't that a piece of psychology? He said, I don't want you to do it. So what do you want me to do that? I wasn't going to do it anyway, but what do you want me to do? He said, study the Romans. Isn't it the same thing I'm saying here? We have to learn their methodology in order to defeat their methodology. You can't do it unless you know the ins and outs. That's what I'm doing. I've never hit them. I'm fighting back. And I don't have to be violent.
I just like to say in relation to what she said, we've got to go back to our spirituality because they can't teach us spirituality. Like if you look at Buzzy B's party last week, you know, it was pure vibration in there. And we say vibration is memory. You know, Buzzy B's dancing right back to ancient Kemet, because we've never seen a move like that yet. You know, so basically our vibration is our memory bank. It's our realization of who we really are. you know. And if you look at them, even in their high churches or whatever they want to call their religions, we ask about spirituality, they can't even give you no formulas, you know. So the only way forward for us is to go back to who we really are, you know, and that's vibration. They can't teach us that, you know.
And Lyndon, you spoke about reading list, and that's part of the curriculum, right? The word curriculum is Latin meaning a race. So it goes back to the race, as a competition.
Okay then, so we have some serious reason going on here, and you know, people listening and really gravitate by what's been said. I know that there's supposed to be some person phoning in.
Before we go, I just want to bring Buzzy B as a teacher. How do you find what do you find the system?
Well, I've got to give it the live link number, right? Which is
the live link number is 07944 431 366 07444 431 366. Join the conversation.
We're back in tune. Once again, the number is 07944 431366. Once again, 07944 431366. If you'd like to contribute or text, you can also text. Got a big shout out to Uptown Cuisine, the venue that we held this party. We're not going to stop talking about it. You're going to be bored by the time. Even 3 weeks time, we're not going to stop talking about this party, a great event, and that's what we have to get back to. Having our own communities, you know, where families are together, where we're sharing the moments of this, you know, this experience together, you know, to get to a high level. And I'm going to bring in the birthday boy himself to comment on the teaching. How do you find it?
Yeah, well, I think that your brother there, he touched on it slightly, about the obviously everything is tied in, it's systemic. The psychology is on every level, really. There's no facet of society that isn't affected by their psychology, from the advertising industry, every single facet, from wars, everything. So education is obviously for me, it is much more dangerous than any other aspect, you know, of their psychology, because in order to reduce people to what you want them to
Greetings.
do. Good.
So we got someone coming through. Sorry, possibly. Greetings. Can you hear us?
Greetings.
Can you hear us?
Sorry. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. You sound perfect.
Oh, good. Nice to hear you guys talking about a subject that we really do need to discuss. It's Red Diamond, by the way, in case you didn't pick up.
Greetings, Red Diamond.
Red Diamond, big up the hold on, you're chilled on some foot Saturday. Hold on. Be sure. Hey, hold on. Be sure you bust some on foot, you know. Chilled on some foot, you know. Women chilled on foot, you know what I mean? I want people to visualize, you know, you're chilled on some foot, and I mash up people's foot too. Alright. We're not going at more still, you know what I mean?
So you're too bad.
We're too bad? We're too bad. Alright, come talk about your foot talk about. I will talk about the mash up foot a little bit later on. Come through.
Alright. Now, what, on the, in relation to mental health and the system, psychology, and I find it quite interesting because it's something that I study, as you guys, especially Lyndon, is aware that I studied psychology for the last 20 years. I haven't actually acquired the white paper, so to speak. And it's quite interesting that our people, or should I say a vast amount of our people, are very reluctant to recognise your shall we say, your knowledge and experience unless you have this white paper. Which, I mean, it's amazing because, you know, the whole system is derived not from our people. We never created university and so forth. Not to say I'm putting it down, because we do require university for knowledge to some degree. But I found that I had to do my personal research because, for one, especially with the Freud individual, I'm not happy to take on the knowledge of someone who feels it's okay to sleep with his child.
Thank you.
There are certain aspects that he mentions that I do agree with, but as the person, the way that they're looking up to him like he's somebody of importance makes me feel sick. Because, you know, you want to bring your nastiness into the equation and expect everybody to follow your disgustingness. I don't look at my children sexually. And my children don't look at me sexually. So that concept that he wants to thrust down people's throat is absolute nonsense. My personal, I can't speak for anybody else.
That is true.
I can only speak for myself. I view my children as this is what I've created in my womb. And there's nothing sexual that I see about my children.
That's right.
At all. And I find that quite gross. But anyway, that's something that's another radio show entirely.
Yeah.
What I also wanted to say is I've been on both sides of the spectrum. The reason why I took up psychology 20 years ago is because I, from childhood, growing up, I encountered a lot of, quote, mental illnesses, if we want to give it a label. And I wasn't receiving the answers that was going to help me to grow as a person. And I would go to these so-called psychologists, and they look at you through your nose, and they tick the boxes, and they ask you various questions, and you go away feeling worse than when you went through the door.
Well said.
And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a company so that I can speak to people who have been down a similar road to myself, and to show them that we're on the same level. I don't have to be P's and Q's and Queen's English and all that nonsense. I'm talking on your level. If you're talking road talk, I'm talking road talk. And that's what made me start my company. You know?
And what's the name of your company?
The name of the company, let me go professional hat again. Through Knowledge Gain Power is the name, limited, it's the name of my company. It's a personal development company that deals with youths and also with relationships, as you guys know.
And just to come in there with time, and I've been to some of your workshop. When I met you, just to see the work that you were doing. And even I joined in the workshops, and I gained so much in terms of personal growth. And I was having a conversation with Diamond, and I said I would rather, I would come to her if I had any personal challenges, because I've seen that her psychology work. I've seen people, and it's the depth at which people went to her. These people refused to go to the so-called people with the big names behind them, with the big letters behind their names and so forth, because they were only complicating and confusing the people's lives even more. And I've seen her went to Rare Diamond, and the testimonies that she's got, when they go back to the people with the letters behind their name, they will be dumbfounded and said, "Are you sure? Is this person trained?" and all that. But the person said, "Well, if I feel relieved of my issue, that's what matters." Isn't it? That's what really matters. That's you have a result. That's what matters. Yeah.
Thank you, Buzz and Bee. Respect maximum.
And don't. I agree with Dougie and your 2-foot business.
All right. We have Thomas, you want to come in?
I just wanted to ask, what's the unique nature of what you do compared to what everybody else does that brings you success?
I think I combine personal experience with. I tend not to follow the quote rules. because there's these protective. I mean, of course, you have to have boundaries with your clientele, but my clients will ring me up at 3:00 in the morning. It's not a regular thing, but they know that if they're desperate, they can do that. I don't know any counsellor that you could do that with. There's a time and place. You get your 1 hour slot, and that's it. Go on, make your business.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What did you just say? Sister.
Yes, my dear.
I mean to diss me, but I mean, if anybody's in problem, they can call me anytime, 24/7.
Yeah, but you see, you think outside the box too. I'm not referring to the kings like you. How you mean?
I was just teasing.
Yes, so I stand corrected with you, Lyndon. But Lyndon, you know that I know you're on a different level, and I know that anybody could call you. Anyone that you've given your time to, they can approach you at any given time.
Always.
But you have to admit that the ones that are so-called, behind an organisation, you get your 1 hour slot, and that's it until the following week.
Well, it's just a money maker,
Yeah, sorry to cut you, Lyndon. In answer to what you were saying, Jammers, I think it's probably 2 weeks ago I spoke to Dougie about a similar situation, because my company is a non-profitable company, and it's from public recourse, and I actually do fund my company myself, even though it's supposed to be for the public. And one of the individuals that I was training with, Button B knows her. She was suicidal. She was anorexic, and she came into the workshops, and she was coming along doing quite well, and her mother stopped her. Now, she happened to be Caucasian, and her mother did not like our people, put it that way. The funny thing was, it was the mother, after 3 months of stopping the sessions, who called me whilst the individual had the knife at her wrist, and she had to put it on loudspeaker. So the same woman, the cornerstone story, the same woman who she rejected was the person that she had to call at that suicidal time. So
Right.
It's not the same story, but I can relate to what Lyndon was saying. And in my instance, I never charge because, as I said, it's a free company, if you want to put it that way. It's voluntary contributions. So it really is something that I feel that I have to do I'm not saying that personally, I recognise that there are many people out there who don't recognise their own value and will not pay to personally develop. So my company is there that if they don't even have to have money, just come. You don't even have to come. Pick up the phone, I'll do it on the phone. Whatever it takes.
But it's about value.
And that's why mine is different.
Yeah, but it's about value as well. Because you have to see the value of this, and people don't really quite see the value. Just take things for granted. That's a problem we do have with some people in the community. Yeah, I need to throw that out. Okay, anybody else want to jump in there because look like what she done for me? She lift up a foot still. All right then. So give thanks for your contribution to reasoning. Have you got a website or anything where people can?
I do.
Please.
through-knowledge-gain-power.com. If you put that in the search engine, you'll pick up my website. So, yeah. But guys, carry on with the interesting speaking. I'll be listening in, taking notes as I always do.
All right,
big up all of yourselves there. And take care.
And you big up yourself, Real Diamond. Let me tell you something. I'm so proud of you. Here you go.
All right then. We'll call you on the foot soon, anyway. All right.
All right, take care.
All right.
Okay, we're done.
Buzzy B, one come in.
Buzzy, back to you again. I'm sorry we got interrupted. It's about your experience in the system, the man in the system. With successes, I must say, great successes.
Yet again, I think I'm quite working with on one with a white paper, as Red Diamond calls it. I myself, work in education for quite some time now, and I think I put my successes by not, following what the system tells me to do. Because I was always a kind of a rebel in a way, in the sense that I was always a conformist. I was always not non-conformist. Always challenging the theories that was put before me, even in terms of the way we learn. And I just could not relate to it. All the learning theories that I was, studying and going through and thinking, well, it doesn't apply to me. I felt no connection with it whatsoever, from a cultural perspective. Because as I said, I certainly didn't learn in that way. I could not relate to any of it. So, in my experience, in terms of teaching and educating, I apply a similar approach to the way Ray Diamond does it. I see people as individuals, and people learn in different ways. They have all these different learning theories, visual learning, aesthetic. They have all the different kind of learning theories that they develop, and they apply it to everyone across the board, irrespective of their cultural dynamic, or So if you don't fit in that, then they will say something is wrong with you, and then they wonder why we fail, because the way they say that children should learn, of course they think it's the best way. They think it's the supreme way of learning, and if you don't fit in that, then there's something wrong with you. And that has been the case in point, particularly in the UK, and I'm sure in the States as well, in terms of the way that they have approached black children. You look at these same black and African children in their own environment. I grew up in the Caribbean, came here, and I just felt totally alienated. I think, hang on a minute, are these really black people here? Because the way that the system, try to dumb them down, and even a lot of blacks begin to believe what the system is telling them. Their parents begin to believe that as well, and that's where the danger was. Because I said, well, I've always challenged it, because in my environment back in the Caribbean, I certainly didn't learn that way. Children were allowed to learn things the way they wanted to. The teacher would just there as a guide, really, because obviously there has to be some sort of guide and supervision, of course. But you were allowed, for instance, you'd be doing a mathematical problem, the teacher would say to you, oh, do it this way. You would do it your way. I remember there was a guy called Benjamin. I always tried to compete with him. I was very competitive. We were always the tops in school. Always top in English, top in maths. Always. Ever. We were very competitive. But Benjamin had his own way of resolving mathematical problems. And it was not the way that the teacher taught him. But the fact that he got it right, he got the answer right. And the teachers did challenge the method that he used. But here, everything here was, everybody has got to do it the way that they say it should be done. So I tend to take a different approach in terms of children learning and processing information and knowledge. So I take a completely different approach to learning and to teaching. And I think that's why my successes has been that great. And I'm always being asked, well, how do you do it? I go beyond just academia. I go with confidence. I said, why is this child, I'm concerned with the child's happiness, the psychological state, whatever, because to me, all of that is connected with learning. The entire thing is connected with learning. It's not just about you disseminating information and teaching them how to do something. It's because you have to take the whole child. Because when a child comes in front of me, I see everything. I'm seeing everything. I'm not just there to regurgitate and say, oh, you do, the verb is that, and that's all. That's my only concern. But for the most part, most teachers are just concerned with that, because they got the tick box culture, and people are working against the tick box culture. You get directors almost every other day, in terms of the subject knowledge. Then again, you have the natural curriculum, and that's the danger. Because the curriculum means that the knowledge is circled within a certain context and it can't go beyond the curriculum because it's a circle. So everything within that's put within that circle, nothing leaves there. And nothing is put in there either. So that in itself is limiting. So the natural curriculum is designed to limit you. It really is. It limits you. Because if you look at the way that, for instance, you've got the new GCSEs, and they're saying that standards are rising. But as far as I'm concerned, I totally disagree. Standards are even getting lower and lower, and the children are just fodder for the system. Of course, as we know, it's functional. It's got a national curriculum. It's functional. It's there to serve the system. It's there to serve the wider interests of business and to keep the society. Matter of fact, the system is designed to keep the status quo. Putting it in their hands, pretty much like what a counsellor does. I'm not going to tell you how to. I would suggest, I would give you the broader thing, but it's for them to see if they can find a creative way to resolve that situation themselves or that learning process themselves.
Right, gentlemen, I could have to bring it to close, but it seems like Buzzy B's finally starting to recover from his party now.
This party isn't going to go away. This party isn't going to go away. Yeah.
So, and Shen, thanks for coming down and touching on the subject.
Yes.
What aspects are you going to cover? Because this was just an introduction, I believe, into the topic. So what are the next aspects we can look forward to next week, or
I would say that as an introduction, we're just touching, just skimming the surface. As I mentioned earlier, it will be skimming the surface. Now we all know.
Yes, to recover from this one today.
So now we all know what the basis is. Which the basis we now go into that 3 points stage of, going into depth about the cause of the problem, then the problem itself, and then trying to find solutions to the problem and steps. And Theo spoke about the protocols that we should put in place as well. Those are very important, and also to look at how this psychology also affects, the 9 major areas of people's activity, which we put into the section Neely Fuller, which is basically, economics, how does psychology have an effect and a bearing in economics, in education, entertainment, labour, law, politics, religion, sex and war. As we mentioned, psychology covers all an array of systems and structures, and how those systems and structures are being placed to ensure the control and domination of one group of people over another.
That's excellent. We just got a text come in. It says, great show, jammers. Oh, wow. I don't think I've done much today, to tell the truth. But big up Sir Dougie, Lyndon, Buzzy and Shen. Very forward to see. Also big up for you too. And they're asking, Shen, are you from Manchester? I think he's keeping his identity
sealed
at this present moment. So we're looking at, excellent once again. Thanks for coming down. Final words from Dougie and Theo. Oh, and Buzzy B. He doesn't want to stop now. Alright, Lyndon, you've got your show on this Saturday as well. This Saturday from 10 till 12. The Black Experience, make sure. I'm with you again. Okay, I'll be there as well this Saturday. The Black Experience. Right, okay. Right, Dougie?
Yes, a fantastic show. Word for reasoning. And as I said, that'd be great to start. But to start to be great. Our power to our people.
Yes, since this is just the introduction, as you said, I'm looking forward to the next part of the show. That's going to be next week, right? And I believe I've been given my instructions by Shen to look into certain things, and I will definitely do that. I will bring the whole fullness of the intellectual maroon protocols and combine them with the principles of Neely Fuller. So I'll look forward to bringing that next week I just want to say one thing about the party, because we was on Sparshaw on Monday and apparently we got the wrong
It was Aitrisha.
It was Aitrisha that we have to give thanks to for the blessing and the affirmation stage. So big up to Sister Aitrisha.
Yes, I felt quite like a fish out of water on this with Theo. Really threw me out the ballpark altogether. Closed me out of the conversation altogether.
I was a keeper.
When I said, well, I can't recover from this one. So I resign. I'm resign respectfully and let. But I must say it was very informative. Looking forward to get some more knowledge from Shin, and also obviously the great Lyndon as always. Always have an interesting take on things. Yeah, but it was a very good show.
Yeah, thank you, Buzzy. Do you remember you've got to tell us where your next party is going to be? You're going to have to do a thank you party, you know.
Well, I meant to thank the community.
Well, I just want to thank you all for inviting me. I've learned quite a lot myself. I've never failed to learn as I'm a continuous learner. I'm looking forward to the next show and the next one and the next one, because this is really good stuff for us to get across to the people, and the way we've done it is